On.
All right, everyone. So thank you so much for joining this webinar for the Stream 1.2 launch. I know a lot of you were excited. We're eagerly awaiting this new version. So were we. Um, my name is Matthew. I'm the product manager for the Victor Reader stream. All things Victor Reader really at Humanware, as well as the Stellar Trek, which is our GPS device, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. I'm joined by Peter Tucic. Peter, you want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, how's it going, everybody? This is Peter Tucic. I am the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Humanware. Definitely, as Matthew had alluded to in the preface here, see a lot of familiar names, and certainly I'm on lots of user lists and watch lots of things go by, and also work closely with Matthew on these products, and then with our Braille and blindness products, and work with our team of amazing and awesome product specialists and sales reps, and do lots of things behind the scenes and also front facing. So it's really nice to be here. I'm glad this is, as you said, a long time coming. We're here. We've
Absolutely.
added a new bookshelf to the Victor Reader stream, and that is a big deal in these parts. So we're going to dive in and look at that amongst many other things today. So thank you, Matthew.
For sure. So just a quick brief history of this rather new device, because the Stream 3 came out this year. So we launched the Stream 3 in the US only at the beginning of the year. So version 1.0 was US only, and the reason for that was that we didn't have the Daisy Online services that are used in many European countries, Australia and Canada, and we didn't have other languages as well. We only had pretty much for the system language, the English language. So we did a very US centric launch. About 2 months later came version 1.1, which is a version that brought on a lot of stability to the unit because full transparency, we know that there were quite a few bugs on launch. So the 1.1 update fixed a lot of the bugs and brought that DC Online service that I talked about before and many more languages. So we had a ton more languages available for 1.1. So that was the international launch back in April, if I'm not mistaken. And now we're about 6 months later. We released version 1.2 a couple of weeks ago, about 10 days ago. And this version 1.2 also brings new languages. So we do have a few new languages. So opening up a few new market of customers for us. So of users for the device, people who had Stream 2s before and now wanted to get the upgrade to Stream 3, but it also brings in some new features as well as some bug fixes. So I do have a few slides here. I'm going to share my screen for those of you who can see, but I'm going to describe everything that's on. And then basically the agenda for today's meeting is we're going to go through um, the new features, and then Peter will do some demonstrations to showcase those new features. And then we'll go through some of the bugs that we squashed in version 1.2, a small list, not exhaustive, but fairly comprehensive. And then we're going to talk about what's coming in the future, so in 2024 for the Stream 3. And last but not least, we'll open up the floor for questions. So if anyone has any questions, either through chat, through the Q&A tool on Zoom, or if you want to raise your hand and say hi and talk, we'll be more than happy to take some questions at the end. We've initially scheduled this webinar to last about an hour and a half. That being said, Peter and I are flexible. I wouldn't be surprised if it took a little bit longer, and we're fine with that. It is one of my favorite things in my job to engage with the community and talk with you guys and get direct feedback. This is worth gold. So let me share my screen here. Here we go. All right. So, as I mentioned before, what's new, bug fixes, and what's coming in the future. So let's start with the what's new. So Peter alluded to this in his introduction. This is a new bookshelf on the Victor Reader stream, which is something that we haven't done in a long time. So the TuneIn Radio bookshelf. So TuneIn Radio is a third-party service that we've been, working with for a couple of years now. So this has been a long time in the making. It's not something you can snap your fingers and make happen in a month. It was actually my predecessor, Roland, who used to be the product manager at Humanware, who started negotiations with the TuneIn folks. And I have to say, they've been a really wonderful partner. They, we send them questions. They reply back with answers within a day or two at most, sometimes within a few hours. I've seen answers within half an hour. They've been really, really great partners. This is a first implementation. This is what we call an API implementation. So Peter will kind of mention and make mentions about that, but it is not the same thing as if you were using it on your phone. It's very similar, but there are some subtle differences that Peter will go through. We've implemented the Daisy Online dynamic menus. So these are menus that are personalized by account that are used only in some countries. So this is a fairly limited thing for certain European countries. But in order to be able to, I believe Germany is one of those countries, as Sweden as well. So in order to be able to use the Daisy Online service, which is for our US folks, the equivalent of BARD, or in Canada, SILA. So in order to be able to use those services, they needed to have dynamic menu support. So we've added that into the Stream version 1.2. For our US listeners, we have improved DNLS BARD search. So it used to be that the more you added words, the broader the search results would go. So if you did a search for one word, let's say Stephen, then you did a search, you got, let's say, 500 results. And then if you added King, then you would get 1,000 results, because it would search for stuff that had either Stephen or King in the result. Now, with the new API at BARD, they've changed the way that they do handle searches, and it's now an and. So if you put in Stephen and King, you're going to get only results containing both words. So this allows you to do a funnel search. If you're looking for, let's say you want to read the book Needful Things, then you can enter Stephen King Needful, and then you'll only probably find a handful of books. Whereas before you would have gotten hundreds and hundreds of results. We've implemented system language change. So for those of you who've had streams for years, if you remember on the Stream 2, when you wanted to have a new voice package, you had to go on the website, download the file, put it on an SD card, boot up. It was a bit of a cumbersome process. So with this version, you can directly into your settings menu. You could in version 1.1 change your secondary TTS. That worked. But now if you want to change your main system language, let's say you're an American and you want to learn French because it's such a beautiful language. So you could go into and choose Louise and have your main system in French. Highly recommend learning French, but that might be because it's my birth language. But yeah, I mean, if you want to, we know it's not something you do every day, but you can now do it easier than before. Better support for Mac SD card. So the Stream 2 did this properly. It was an oversight in the Stream 3 that it did not ignore system files on SD cards created on the Mac. So all of those little system files that start with a period or a tilde, those are now ignored on the SD card. So from what I've heard, I don't have a Mac, so I can't test this myself, but from what I've heard, this seems to be really gone and working as well as it should. And then last but not least, and Peter will demonstrate this as well, we've added SD card formatting support back into the Stream 3. So that was taken out. It wasn't an oversight. It was taken out on purpose because we were having some difficulties and the format didn't work well. So we decided to take it out rather than corrupt SD cards for our customers. We thought that was the better of the two options. So the compromise to add it back in for now for 1.2 was to put it in the diagnostic menu. So Peter will explain how to get there, but having it in the diagnostic menu means that the SD card hasn't been mounted by the operating system on the stream, and therefore we can format it without risking corruption. It is possible we might bring it back to the settings menu in the future, but I'm not promising anything because it is causing some technical difficulties. We're trying to work around them. If we're able to, great. If not, then at least the option will remain in the diagnostic menu. It's 4:12 and I feel like I've already talked a lot, so I'm going to stop my screen share and I'm gonna let Peter take over for the next few minutes to go over some demos.
All right. Thank you, Matthew. So what we're going to do is we are going to, I'm gonna get myself set up here. And we're going to have a kind of a spin through the TuneIn Radio side of things. And what I'll do is I'm going to make sure that everyone can hear my player, and we're going to walk through a bit of this. So let me just come all the way back up here. All right. Now, what I am going to do, we've in this TuneIn implementation, what's very important is that we mention the OOTunes or Internet Radio database as it exists today is not going anywhere. And for those of you who have updated, you've realized this. So that the TuneIn experience that we're bringing to Stream 3 is an additional bookshelf. So if you like using Internet Radio, continue to use it. Internet Radio is not going anywhere. The difference, though, TuneIn, it is a whole different ballgame because it is an aggregator of content. OOTunes is wonderful, but OOTunes is a database. It is simply a collection of links and stations and things that is organized. And when you press enter, confirm on a station or play, you're playing that station. You're directed to that URL as defined by the database. TuneIn is an aggregator of content, meaning they manage all of that. They are in control of the streams, of the content supplying. And they have a global reach, and it's not just a database managed, by an individual or by a group that has all the say. So it is an actual API that we're working with. And so when we look at this, it is its own bookshelf, and there are multiple levels at which and ways you can access TuneIn. There is a free way, or anonymous way. There is a sort of synchronized way through a free account, and then there is a premium account. And it's important to understand the differences, and it's also important to understand that we do not control that. We can work with the API, and for those of you who have kind of delved into this, you'll see that there may be 3 or 4 ways to get to the same content. And that is true. There might be 3 ways to get to the premium or to the CNN station or to MSNBC or to Fox News or to a certain music station you listen to. But we don't control necessarily how that comes through. It's handled by the API. We're simply querying a server. It gives us a response, and those responses are then navigable by the stream. To take that to the next level, I, in Chicago, with an associated account, may have a very different looking screen or home layout than you living in Houston or Sydney may with a free account. So keep that in mind. And we certainly want to, of course, give a huge accolades and recognition to the Mystic Access folks who have updated their stream tutorial, the free Stream 3 tutorial to include TuneIn. And I believe I believe Kim is here. And they have updated that section, so you can certainly dive in and listen to a great run through as to how to get this all up and running and kind of get a lay of the land. But keep in mind that there may be times where something, especially when it comes to the interface that's presented, does not look exactly the same once it comes to browsing content, because you may have a premium account or you may be in a different location, and you may not get the same types of options that somebody else would. For anyone who's used this API, and I'm not referring to the TuneIn, the app on your iPhone. So the app on your iPhone is controlled, and is kind of a hard-coded built app. The API is a third-party piece, which is similar to what we might see if we use Sonos. Sonos is something I use. I have speakers all around, and I'm a huge Sonos fan. And I use it because I love audio content, and everything from Sirius XM to Apple Music to, lots of services are integrated in Sonos. That is sometimes not, it can be interesting. I have sort of dead end or truncated places in the Sonos API as well, where it's not as fluid maybe as it might look on my iPhone. And we will see some of the same things. That doesn't mean we can't fix these as we go forward. And you'll say, wow, this one station doesn't work. Or, I've searched for something and I'm not getting content. We have a great relationship with TuneIn, and Matthew will talk about that. And we're able to work with them, and we will continue to iron out our access to this API as we go forward. What we've done, though, is taken and for those of you who've tried to use the TuneIn app on your iPhone, it's a great app, but it can be very cluttered. You have tabs across the bottom. You have various headings that aren't really navigable by the rotor on VoiceOver unless you kind of swipe quickly. you have, it's very dynamic. So again, usability is I wouldn't say it's not usable, but it can be a struggle. What we've tried to do is bring it into a simple push button interface and greatly increase access to all of those different sections. Is it perfect? Of course not. Are we going to work with them to refine it? Absolutely. But I think what you'll see with this implementation is it's really come a long way, and really bringing a humongous amount of content to you in a simple push button interface. So I am currently on my Stream 3. I have, on the online bookshelves, as you push the number 1 after internet radio, you will come to the TuneIn bookshelf. And your first option in that bookshelf is
search TuneIn stations.
Search TuneIn stations. Now, if I press confirm, I'll be brought into a text box. And for those of you who have done this, and I've watched a bit of your feedback on the user list, sometimes your search results, they're all over the map, right? If you type in a station, you'll probably get that station, and then you may get all kinds of other keywords. As Matthew just pointed out, and this is true on the iPhone app as well, and just the way that this works, it may not be the most concise sort of search piece. So if you're looking for Chicago, you may get a lot of results that are not necessarily related to Chicago. Or sometimes you may search call letters and it's going to, bring you into different areas. That is something I'm sure we'll look at refinement on. And, there are lots of kind of pieces that come that we can look into, but you are able to search for stations. I've found that if you're doing a call letter search, usually your first couple of results will be very relevant. And the more you kind of drill down and move through with your 6 key into your results, the wider of a net you'll cast. So let's just say I'm going to press confirm here on search stations.
Enter text to search.
Now I am going to enter some text to search, and I'm in Chicago. One of the most popular stations here is WBBM News Radio. I grew up listening to this. I'm sure many of you have stumbled upon this station over the years, but I'm going to search WBBM. Now again, I'm doing this using the entry method of, just not waiting for the click. But if you want to check what you've written, always you can press that right, your fast forward key, and it will tell you the text you have entered in your text box.
WBBM,
right?
WBBM,
and so on. I'm going to press confirm.
Confirmed.
And it's going to search.
Results found. 1. WBBM News Radio 780 AM and 105.9 FM.
And right away, we get access to this station. So I can press play and play this, or I can move through my search results by pressing my number 6 key.
2. Sergeant was Holiday Radio.
Now, again, I don't know what in the world that has to do with WBBM, Sergeant's Holiday Radio. However, here it is, right? It's in my results. And I probably could figure out why if I did some real digging, but you will get some other things going on. You also will have WBBM FM, which I think here is a pop station. Well, I know it is. I don't think it is. And then other pieces. So again, you can move through these results. When you find a station you would like to play, you can press play on it, and you will be kind of thrown into that station.
WBBM
So if I press play here,
780 AM and 105.9 FM,
it will start the stream. And that means if there's a pre-roll ad, a lot of times, again, even if you have a premium account, you still will get, depending on the way the servers are, you still may get an ad that begins the stream. It really will depend on the stream you're trying to play. This is entirely not something we can control. But if I press play here, it would start to play the station. I'll do that very quickly. Sorry, Matthew.
No problem.
So it's going to bring up the station. It's going to play, and I'm going to cancel out because I don't want it to go. What we've also noticed is some of those, that is an Odyssey station, and there are some Odyssey stations that will start with a sort of a nothing, and they won't play, and we're actively looking into what will cause that. We think we've identified what's going on, and certainly we'll look to refine some of those pieces. Go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, I was going to say just one rule, Peter, for your demo, and I forgot to mention this before the webinar started, but no holiday music because we're not in December yet.
I won't do it. I won't do it. I will not do it. But again, you're able to play these stations. If you have a station that doesn't play, we certainly are aware, and we've gotten some feedback. And this is also why we did leave the OO-Tunes piece here, because we know that internet radio, you may have some stations that TuneIn doesn't offer or that aren't playing, and we will get them playing. We're going to work with our means to make that happen. But if you're finding something that doesn't work, check and see if it's available on the internet radio side as well.
Absolutely.
What I'm going to do, so again, we have our search on search stations. If I come at the top of my bookshelf, we have search stations. If I'm searching and I look for something, I can always come up a level by pressing my star key. So I'm back at search at stations. If I press my 6 key, move to the right,
Search TuneIn podcasts.
you are able to stream podcasts on TuneIn. So we can stream all of those podcasts that we want to listen to. Now, again, we did not get rid of or remove the podcast bookshelf. It is still there as it was, and it didn't go anywhere. It still exists the way nothing changed with it, but you can stream podcasts. A note, there are 2 notes here. One is we do not have implemented yet the speed control when you're streaming a podcast. And 2 is we are not resuming. So if you were listening to a podcast and you pause that podcast 26 minutes in, when you go back to it, it's going to restart from the beginning. And so that's something, again, 2 pieces we need to iron out and work on, which is something we're well aware of. But you are able to stream podcasts via the TuneIn side of things if you want to. So you can certainly do that. What most people will find themselves doing, though, if I press my 6 key, besides searching, is accessing the browse option. And this is where you really are going to be able to come in and spend a lot of time and kind of running and wandering and bouncing all over this bookshelf. And the browse area is where we see all of the content in various categories, in various spaces, and really getting us into exploring what is offered by TuneIn. And again, that content can differ based off of the type of subscription we have. Right now, if you don't add any account, you still will be able to look at all kinds of content. You will, run into issues if you're trying to play a commercial-free news feed, because that is something that's offered on a premium account. But you are able to access a tremendous amount of stations. The premium content it's extensive, but really it comes down to commercial-free news, access to Major League Baseball once that is in action, and other things. But the premium side, and again, you will make that decision as a consumer if you want to go the premium route, and that is something that's going to be at your own, your own decision, kind of something that is up to you. If you see the benefit or the value in adding that premium account, you don't have to add anything. If you don't add an account, you will still have access to TuneIn, to the library, to hundreds of thousands of stations, to the podcast, to all of it. There's just some content you won't have. Now, you can also add a free account, and that is anonymous. It is an account that is free, and the only benefit to doing that is so that your favorites can be synchronized or synced between devices. So that if I add a favorite on my iPhone logged into the same free account, it will show up on my Stream 3 and vice versa. So I can add stations, and those stations will then be in my library, and we'll take a look at where that is. Okay, so I'm going to press confirm on a browse. So again, the top level of the bookshelf, you have search TuneIn stations, search TuneIn podcasts, and browse. If I press my 6 key again,
search TuneIn stations.
We're back at the station. So there are 3 options at the top of this, and I'll move through them with my 4 and 6 keys. So I'm going to press 6 a couple of times, come to browse, and press confirm.
Home.
Now, this is where this will loosely correlate to the headings that are found on the home, sort of the screen of the iPhone. You have headings and you also have tabs. And across the bottom, you'll have home and radio and other things on the iPhone. And again, this can be very dynamic depending on where you are. Home is going to be loosely going to be affiliated with your sort of personal account and settings and things in your location and whatnot. If I move to the right, however,
browse library.
This is where you'd find your favorites if you have favorites on the device. And again, if you have a free account added, these favorites will synchronize over to your other devices that are logged into the same account. So your radio stations will be viewable on your iPhone or on the computer if you log in on the website, or on your iPad or other connected devices, or if you have a second Stream 3.
Local radio.
This local radio option, again, I'm just moving across. I haven't gone into anything yet. We're on this sort of level when we got into browse with our confirm key. We're moving to the right. We have home. Here's local radio. Again, this is determined by your IP address. We do not have any sort of GPS technology in this device. We don't have location services. Your internet provider determines your location. And Matthew, I think you have an interesting piece where your location is determined to be somewhere else than you actually live, right?
Yeah, actually, it's a city, but it's about like 60 to 70 miles away from where I live. So I get in my local radio, I do get my own local radios because there's some overlaps. It's not that far, but I do also have some stations that are in that city that I don't get where I live. So yeah.
And I noticed this for me too. So I live in Chicago, but I know, and we're about to go in here because we'll see what it looks like. There are some results that are from Milwaukee. Like I'll get a news station from Milwaukee, which I know is Milwaukee because it's WTMJ, which has been around a long, long time. And is not a Chicago radio station, but I see it on the TuneIn app as well. I see it. It's just that is the way it's presented. We don't control the results that are presented when you go into these pieces. Again, it's presented by what the API throws back at us, what the servers throw back. I'll just come to the right again. You can see a couple more of these sectors before we get into local radio.
Trending.
Here's what's trending. And again, this is could change by the day, by the hour of the day, by the time of day or the time of year. What is trending on TuneIn? What are other people listening to across the global reach of TuneIn Radio?
Yep.
Kind of interesting. It will pull kind of all these top stations, and I always find it neat. I mean, it's a very connected world, right? You're able to kind of get a sense of what people are listening to, and sometimes this will change. Not even just the content, but also the number of results. I've seen it present 60, and I've seen it present 95. It's something that is dynamic. So what is trending is here. Music, again, lots of categories here. You can drill down into lots of other spaces and pieces. And then again, premium accounts can determine different results, but you have a music area.
News and talk.
Sports. We'll get in where you can look at live events and things. If there are any going on, you can browse by sport. TuneIn is known for having every MLB. If you have a premium account, MLB and hockey, NHL here in the States. You certainly can also pull North America for hockey, but you can certainly also pull other content from around the world. I was listening to the one of the Euro Cup qualifier matches yesterday morning. There were two of them on. There was a riveting Serbia-Bulgaria match going on. I know many of you probably caught that. But again, you can explore by sport and explore by event, and it's going to return what's queried. So that's very neat for looking at current games that may be going on in your area. But again, it's not going to work across all sports because the NBA or some other leagues may not be offered on TuneIn as an option. So you can't always stream the Memphis Grizzlies game living in Grand Forks or something, because that's not something that'll be offered in your area, or it may simply not be available on the service. The other thing you'll notice if you look at events, sometimes you have an NFL game, which is it'll say US only, or by region. So you can stream that game if you're in the correct region, which is determined by your internet service provider. So keep that in mind.
By region.
Here's your by region. Again, you can drill down into TuneIn by country, by all sorts of, by language. There are lots of ways to explore everything that's offered. I'm just moving across again with my 6 key.
Language.
Here's language. You can break that down.
Podcasts.
Here's podcasts. Again, streaming. You are not downloading these. These are streamed. So when you find a podcast you want to listen to, you can stream it directly from the server.
Home.
And we're back to home. Now, if I come into any of these, I can drill down further and further and further, and I can move up with my pound or star. I confirm with my pound key. I move up a level with my star or cancel key. So to the right of your 0 on your numeric keypad is going to be confirm, and to the left of your 0 is going to be cancel. And those move you down further into these levels, or up level by level. If I were to press star right now or cancel, I would move back up to the search, tune in, search podcasts, search stations, and browse area. I'm going to come into local radio.
Browse local radio.
And I'm going to press confirm here. So we're going to press my 6 key a couple of times. I'm going to press confirm on local radio. And I like this example because we immediately see something that is an interesting presentation by the API. I'm in Chicago, and I actually have 4 categories of results. The first category, I pressed confirm, and you heard nothing was spoken. And this is because the result that was returned is not readable, which is something we've shown TuneIn. It's a blank area, but it's not. It's actually an Espanol. It's just not AM FM. There's another category here in Chicago of radio stations that are not in English. And I believe, again, if I press confirm on this.
4 results found. 105.1 Pipe Que Buena 105.
So this is Que Buena. And again, that is in this category of Spanish radio stations. But when I'm looking, and I just press my star key, cancel, to come up a level, it is a blank result. There is nothing here. But if I move to the right,
FM,
here's FM, AM,
internet only.
Internet only. and then blank again. So keep in mind, again, when we find these things, letting us know can be very beneficial. We can take this to TuneIn, say, what do we need to be doing? Is this something on our end that the TTS can't read? Or is this something that we need to figure out what is being presented to us, and how do we render this? How do we fix this with the API? You may come across these blank spaces.
You also get that on your Sonos speaker, for example, right?
I do. Yeah, I get the same again. And when I look at the interface on the Sonos, browse area, a lot of this will look similar, and I'll get these categories, and sometimes I'll go check. It's not the same as if I were to directly compare it to the iPhone app. Again, we're using the third-party API. We're not using that same kind of app that the iPhone is using. So please keep that in mind. Now, again, I can come in and I can look at one of these categories. So let's just say I want to look at FM stations in my area.
FM.
I'm going to press confirm.
37 results found 188.1 pipe WCRX.
All right.
College radio.
So we have a lot of stations, and I'm using the Lily voice, and here, a pipe is a vertical bar. Is some of that stuff will be read by the TTS. You may hear it say pipe. Usually that is it's a vertical bar in the station name. Sometimes you'll get apostrophes that are read interestingly. But I'm going to come through. Let's just find a radio station here.
90.7 pipe Bacalo radio.
Let's go
90.9 pipe WDCB.
So WDCB, which is a public radio station that plays jazz, I think out of the western suburbs somewhere here in Chicago. If I want to play this, I can press play. And the reason why I'm playing this is I want to favorite this.
Add to favorites.
So what I can do is press my bookmark key, which is the key above the number 3, which is your diamond shaped key on your Victor Reader Stream 3. Same as on the 2 and on the track and on the original Victor Reader Stream. And it will say add to favorites, and I'll press confirm. And it's added that station to favorites. Now, again, if I want this to play, it will stop playing. If I want this to play, I'll press play again and get the station going. Now, this will then be shown in my library. Remember, there is this section of where your favorites now sync is library. So please keep that in mind. And I'll show you where you find that. But again, we can query stations. We can add them to favorites, just as we have done for many, many years on the OO Tunes or the internet radio side of things. Now, I'm going to press my cancel key. Let's come out of my FM stations. And I'm going to come back up. Let's come back up to our TuneIn side.
TuneIn Radio
and
browse.
I'm going to show you where those go. So I just came to the top of my bookshelf. I hit my 1 key instead of pressing star a bunch of times. I am going to press enter or confirm on browse.
Home.
And I'm going to move to the right.
Browse library.
Here's browse library. And again, it's at that first level. To the right of home is browse library. I press confirm.
7 results found 1 Al Jazeera.
So I have a lot of stations here.
WDCB
my newest is going to be at the end of the list. So here's WDCB. Now, if I check this on my iPhone app or on my Sonos interface, I will also see the content being synchronized. And you heard the first one there was Al Jazeera English. I think I have CNN. I have some other pieces over the years, especially during baseball season. I'm a favorite, my White Sox, my beloved Chicago White Sox. Disastrous organization currently, but I may favorite them because I just can't give them up. So you can add and remove these. If you want to get rid of a favorite, again, you come into your library, and just as we always have, I'm focused on WDCB. I can press the number 3 when I'm on the station.
Delete station from playlist.
And I can get it out of here if I wanted to.
Delete station from playlist.
And get rid of it. So I can press confirm and get rid of that station. Now, that would then synchronize across, and I would no longer see that as a favorite on my iPhone if my account's added. I currently don't have any account added though, so it's not going to make a difference. But we're going to go add the account.
Canceled. 7.
All right.
WDCB public.
Now,
browse library.
Let's just say that I am back in my TuneIn area. And again, you can use your star key to move up level by level. Let's just say that I want to add my account, and I have a premium account. And what we've suggested you do is you go to TuneIn and you create your account before you do this process. You can certainly do it whilst you add the account to your player, but it's something that is going to be up to the user. We don't, we can encourage you to create an account first, maybe a little bit easier once you go to add the account, but you're going to have to not only add the account to, add the service to your device, but you're going to have to sign in as well, or create a new account if you don't already have one existing. And this, for some, if you struggle with the use of the web, it can be a bit of a challenge. So come into this with an open mind, be patient, and you will certainly be able to add your service, your account, whether it's a free account or a premium account, to your player. TuneIn does offer a 7-day free trial, so you can always come in and try TuneIn Premium, and maybe say, you know what, I don't really need this. I don't mind commercials when I listen to CNN, or I'm not a baseball fan, or I don't benefit from this sort of content, and that is fine. They have lots of different options on how you can subscribe, and you can do that through your iPhone. You can do it through the website. There's a lot of options. Again, not something we control. So if you have queries about TuneIn and subscriptions and how to manage your account, you will need to bring that to TuneIn Radio. You can manage that all on the web, or you can certainly get in touch with somebody over there to assist with that. But what I'm going to do is I'll demonstrate how we add the account to our Victor Reader Stream 3. So right now I'm on the TuneIn bookshelf. If I press the number 7 key,
Menu, add account.
I go into the local menu, the TuneIn local menu, and all I see is add account. If I press the 4 or 6 key to move through this menu,
add account,
it just keeps saying
add account.
Every single time I press 4 or 6,
Add account.
and again,
Add account.
that's all you'll see. Add account. Add account. Do you want to add your TuneIn Radio account to the device? Again, a free account or a premium account. And you don't have to do this. I'll say it again and again. I've seen this come up on the list. Quite a bit of confusion. Please explore the options offered by TuneIn Radio. Do you want a premium account or a free account? That is up to you. Or do you just want to go anonymous? Your call. Now, I am going to add my TuneIn account. So to do that, I'm going to share my screen, and you will hear my JAWS, and I'll slow it way down, and we will have a good time. All right, let's share screen. We're going to share my computer's sound, and we're going to go share our entire screen. Okay, so share my screen. And you probably hear my JAWS, and that's great. You can do this
screen sharing
JAWS, or you can do this with your Mac. You can do this on your iPhone, whatever you need to do. But I'm doing this using JAWS. You could use NVDA. You're basically using a screen reader and a web browser. So it's going to be your decision as to which you choose to use. I am going to, though, first press the number the confirm key, that is, on this add account option on my Victor Reader Stream 3, because again, I went in the menus. I was in the TuneIn bookshelf. I pressed the number 7. It says add account. I press confirm.
URL tunein.com/pair.
And it says that the URL that I need to go to is tunein.com/pair. So I am going to open Google Chrome on my Windows machine.
Search Google.
And
enter.
When I'm in the address bar, I am going to,
New tab.
Again, you can come to your address bar by pressing Alt-D, or you can, do what you need to do to get into your address bar on your favorite web browser.
Alt-D, Google search MADA agreement.
And I am going to search for TuneIn.
9in.com/pair.
Now again,
selected.
mine automatically autofills. What's very important here is that when you type in TuneIn, TuneIn.com/pair, you do not enter or type www or any of that. It's just TuneIn.com/PAIR and press enter.
Enter. TuneIn.com/pair. Selected. Blank.
Okay, now we're brought immediately into a place, and my JAWS settings are to automatically throw me into forms mode. Again, I'll show you the page. So if I turn forms mode off, or I come out of this,
virtual PC,
you will be placed on a page, if depending on your JAWS settings or your NVDA settings.
Enter PIN code as seen on device screen.
That says enter PIN code as seen on device screen. Now again, we will work with them to hopefully, I don't know if this one we can exactly change, but we'll work with them to modify, because no one's seeing anything on a screen. We understand that, but the messaging is all the same.
Yeah, that's used in cars and TVs and stuff like that.
Yeah, so if you've ever added a service to an Apple TV, or if you've ever, I do this a lot with apps, especially when you want to interconnect apps, or even, lots, especially, I always come back to the Apple TV or Roku or any of those things when you're trying to get like the Bravo network or something to appear. I'm not a huge Bravo fan. My wife certainly is. Although I'm proud to say I think I've watched a little bit of Below Deck. So I can probably remember some of the people on there. But this is no different from that. So we're brought into a page that says enter the code, and you're going to have a code on your stream 3 that you need to enter into this box that is located below where it says
TuneIn logo graph. Enter pin code as seen on device screen.
enter pin code as seen on device screen. So let's come into the only edit box on this page
Blank edit.
is this box, and this is where you will enter the code. Now on my stream 3, once I'm at tunein.com/pair on my web browser and screen reader of choice, I can press the 6 key on my stream and receive a code.
Device code 731ED6.
My code is 731ED6. Now, if you need to repeat this code, can press your 4 key followed by your 6 key. And you will get the code again.
Code 731ED6.
I'll also say if you are absolutely struggling with the phonetics here, because there's no way at this point to phonetically read this, and it's something we know has been requested, and I've brought this forward a while, and it's something we'll look into because we want you to know the code. And a B can sound like a D, and an A can sound like an 8, and an H, and so on. If you're struggling, if you absolutely just cannot get your code, if you leave your menu and come back in to your menus, meaning you press star, you get out of the menu, and you re-enter the add account piece in the TuneIn bookshelf, you will get a new code. So you can regenerate a code if you need to. But you would do that by leaving your menu, pressing the star key, getting out of this, and then coming back in with your 7 key menu and then add account, and you'll get a new code. Now I am just going to enter this code right here because it's pretty discernible to me.
Device code 731ED6.
So I'm going to enter 731ED6. And once I do that, you can press the tab key or just press enter.
Pair button.
And you will find a pair button if you just press tab, and I'm going to press enter.
Enter. TuneIn logo. Enter pin code as seen on device screen. 731 at 6 pair privacy terms. Sign up.
Okay. Now I'm brought
sign up
to a page that says sign up. And this, again, you can, if you want to, if you're comfortable with this, you can sign up here for an account. Or if you already have one, I'll show you how to sign in to your existing account. This page is a little funky because there are 2 sets of boxes where you can sign up, and you can sign up in a myriad of ways. For anyone who's ever played on the web, there's never one way to do anything, right? There's lots and lots of ways. You could create an account using an existing, piece of information you already have, like iOS. I created my account years ago on the App Store through Apple. So I've had that account. You could create an account, using Google, using Facebook. There's a lot of options. If you press the letter F.
Continue with Google button.
Here's continue with Google, and F again.
Continue with Facebook button.
Facebook.
Continue with Apple button.
Apple, and so on. If you don't want to use any of those, you also have edit boxes here.
Email address star edit.
To use your own email address, which could be anything, and create a password.
Password star password edit.
Right here. And after, again, the password field.
Password star.
You have
birth year left pair.
Information that, again, they want sort of this, information on demographics and whatnot. So they're not necessarily demographics, but they want to know their metrics. So you can enter your birth year.
Male radio.
You can choose to disclose your gender if you wish, and then you would below this have
female, non-that preferred sign up button.
A sign up button, which is unavailable because I haven't entered any information in those fields. Once you go to sign up, you then can manage your type of plan that you want to create. You can do a 7-day trial. If you don't provide credit card info, it'll just expire. If you do, then you're using TuneIn Premium, a premium trial, then it will renew at that current rate, which can fluctuate depending on where you are. I'm not doing any of this. I already have an account, and I'd encourage you all to create an account prior to coming here, but you certainly can create an account whilst you pair your device. I'm going to choose, though, below this first set of boxes.
Already have an account.
There is an option that says already have an account.
Sign in button.
And you have a sign in button. Now, again, if I'm just at the top of the page,
sign up.
The quickest way to get there
continue with sign in button
is to just press B a couple of times for button if you're using JAWS or NVDA, or even you could do this on the Mac or whatever it may be, but use your button shortcut, or you could search for the word sign in. You can do it there's no right or wrong way. You can press tab a million times. It's up to you, however you like to browse the web. It's going to be a matter of getting to this area that says already have an account, sign in button. And that's what I want. I'm going to press enter on the sign in button.
Enter, sign up.
And it brings me to
sign in,
a sign in page.
Heading level 1, add TuneIn Radio to your HumanWare.
And it says add TuneIn Radio to your HumanWare. And again, we need to work with them so that it will say Victor Reader Stream 3.
Continue with Google button.
And I'm going to come in
username /email star edit
to press the letter E to find the edit box that says email/username. And I'm going to press enter here.
Enter.
And I'm going
Username
to
slash
put
email.
in my username, which is my Gmail address. And I promise you, if anyone emails me here, I will not respond. And I say that in all my webinars. Please don't send me email at my personal email address. I certainly keep that separate from anything I do with Humanware, but that is where I've had my TuneIn account for many, many years. So I'm going to press tab.
Password star password edit task.
And this is where I'm going to put in my password. So
Star blank.
again, hope I remember it. Sometimes I forget it.
Remember me checkbox checked.
You can check to remember yourself on the computer. You do have a forgot password.
Forgot password button
If you don't remember your password, which happens to me sometimes, and I have to do it, reset everything through email, which is always very pleasant. But below that,
sign in
you
button.
have a sign in button, and I'm going to press enter.
Enter. Sign in.
What then happens is I'm going to be brought to a page.
Sign in.
Logging successful. Remove account.
Where I will then be logged in. Now you heard my player say log in successful. And now the only option, I'll see the option that I'll see in my menu, my TuneIn menu will say remove account because I've already added it. It's added. It's here.
Remove account.
So my account is added. So if I want to remove it, I would do this from the stream. I can leave the menu at this point on my stream, and my account has been added to the device.
Leaving menu. Browse library.
Again, your account, you will manage your account on this TuneIn site.
Success, you're all set. Heading
So it says
level
success, you're all set.
TuneIn account linked to your device. Enjoy your favorite stations across devices. Want to take TuneIn Radio on the go? Get the mobile app : get app button. Group start read link privacy.
And we see we're
link
just on this page.
Wrapping to
Now again, you could go and log into TuneIn and go to account management and determine, I want premium or I want to get rid of premium or what that may be. You will do that through the TuneIn website. We do not manage that on the stream. That is something you will do through TuneIn. We do not control that. However, now my account's been added and I will have access to, whether it's a free account or a premium account. I have access now to the premium features since it's a premium account, and we'll go look at that. So again, that is the process for adding the account, and you can refer to this, and it is quite straightforward. Definitely helps to have your account set up beforehand. Doesn't mean you can't. If you're someone who likes to problem solve and can figure it out, please create your account right now. Go to the tunein.com/pair, and you can create the account whilst you pair, while you add it to your device. You can certainly do that, and they allow you to do that on those screens, but we it is a service that is managed by TuneIn Radio. I'm going to stop my screen share because we don't need it. Doesn't mean we won't still hear my stream. But at this point, I'll show you again where's the benefits to some of this TuneIn premium stuff. So I am on my TuneIn Radio bookshelf.
Browse library.
Now what happens is if I come into my home area,
recents,
I will have my recent stations. Again, I can move to the right. I noticed that some of you on the list are having, different types of holiday offerings. And again, your location in the API can differ depending on where you are. Sometimes I've seen different results come up in some of these banners, some of these banner areas. So if I move to the right again, I have home.
From the mind of Garth Brooks.
From the mind of Garth Brooks. In case you want to go into Garth Brooks's mind.
Featured collections.
Featured collections. This is where you'll find various groupings of things that people may be into.
Included with TuneIn Premium.
Here is an included with TuneIn Premium where you can take advantage of a sample of what is included with TuneIn Premium, and it will give you a preset number of results that allow you to start to delve into what's included with Premium. I'm going to press confirm here.
32 results found. 1 CNN.
Okay. The first result is CNN. Now, again, because I'm looking at the premium side of this, if I press play and start listening to CNN, when it gets to the commercials, it'll play. Sometimes it will either play news from earlier in the day. It may play a featured sort of documentary clip. Basically, though, the premium feed means you will not have commercials. That's it. What we have noticed, and what I've noticed, and we're looking into, and I saw this come up on the list as well, when you bookmark one of these premium feeds, so CNN, if I bookmark this and I go into my library and play it, it's not queuing the premium stream. I've seen this. So we need to kind of do a little digging and figure out if that's, we need to work through why. Because what's happening is when I go to play CNN from my library, it's playing just the standard feed with commercials. So we are aware of that, and it's something we're looking at. But if I press play here, I will start playing CNN. And again, no commercials. It's all commercial free. And you can move left and right through some of these
30.
offerings.
Adult hits.
Here's adult
29.
hits.
Believe football radio.
Here's football radio. Again, more of that soccer. That's soccer football. But you are able to now explore a lot more content. I'm going to press my star key. Let's get out of this included with TuneIn Premium area.
Included with TuneIn Premium.
And I'm going to come to the left.
From the mind of Garth. New and emerging
And what I like
broadcasters.
to show people
What do you want to listen
is this
to?
what do you want to listen to option. Again, you move left and right and you'll see lots of choices here, but what do you want to listen to? I like because it really breaks down your categories into lots of consumable pieces. Again, there could be other ways to get to sports, to get to news and talk. We've seen that. There's not one way to get to a series of results. It will be up to you to find which way you prefer. And this is no different from when you're using it in some of these other third-party API worlds. So, it is, and it's dynamic. But I'm going to press confirm here on what do you want to listen to.
Music.
And here I have music.
News and talk.
News and talk.
Sports.
Now, again, if I come into sports, I'm a big-time sports fan.
Explore by sport.
You can explore by a particular sport. If I move to the right.
Non-stop sports talk.
Again, non-stop sports talk. I'm just using my 4 and 6 keys.
Events.
Here's events. Now, if there were any events going on and I press confirm,
30. Results found.
it's going to
1.
give me,
East Carolina Pirates at Ohio State Buckeyes.
if I want to hear the Pirates Buckeyes game, I can come
1.
into this.
Result found. 1. Ohio State women's basketball.
Here's the Ohio State women's basketball feed. And if I press play, if that event is going on, it will play this channel. And it may play, again, depending, sometimes it'll say this content won't start until a certain time. It all depends on what the API is going to give you. But you can drill down and play this. I'm going to press cancel or star to move up a level. Let's get out of events. Let's move up again.
Sports.
Let's get, we're back again at the sports level.
News and talk.
If I come into news and talk, again, I'm just using my 4 key. Again, you will drill down with the pound key here.
Live and commercial free.
Here's your live and commercial free section of the news and talk area. Again, I'll see the same premium CNN feed that I saw under, that last section I was in about available with TuneIn Premium. Just 2 ways to get there. One requires a few less key presses. It's up to you. You will see more than a few results when you come into this area, though.
11.
So there's 11
found.
results.
1. MSNBC.
And again, MSNBC is here, CNN is here, and there's a lot of stations offered. No right or wrong way. It all comes down to preference. Knowing that once you get to the end of the kind of the area, if I press confirm again, nothing happens because I need to press play. This is an actual station. So if you're trying to drill down, once you run out of ways to press confirm, you're at the bottom. You need to press play at that point because that means it is a station. If I press cancel or star, I'll move up a level.
Live and commercial free.
Move up again.
News and talk.
Okay. So again, I'm like 7 levels deep at this point.
What do you want to listen
Now
to?
I'm back up to what you want to listen to under my home banner. So a lot of exploration can be done. And you will find that once you get comfortable, I tend to look at the live events, especially when I'm doing explore by sport. And it may show some content that's relevant. And sometimes you get things that are coming up tomorrow and you try to play it. And it's just a radio station playing nothing. Or sometimes I'll hear a game I want to listen to and I press play and it says this will, game starts at 6 p.m. today or 7:30 p.m. Or sometimes it will say not available in your region because you're not where that, you might have a local, feed for the Dallas Mavericks up, but you're not in that region, so you can't listen to that game. So keep in mind, that this is all determined by that API, and we're happy to explore if it's something we can control, what maybe we could do to refine this and make it look better or make it more concise or easier to use. But a lot of it is what is presented by the TuneIn API. We have been so fortunate. They have been wonderful to work with. It's been really neat to offer a new bookshelf on the Stream 3. It's been 10 years since a new bookshelf came to the Victor Reader Stream. So it's very, very neat. I know we're all excited on this, and we're just glad TuneIn has been willing to work with us. And they also put out a press release and that I saw on Yahoo Finance and some other places and it was not flowery. It was not some inspirational thing. It was just very cool. It was very, TuneIn is committed to accessibility and making their content usable or accessible in other ways. And that has been very, very neat. And there were some quotes in there from their CEO and from Louis-Philippe Messier, who's our head of global innovation. And it was very, very neat to see. So we'll continue. And I say this, not, I mean, looking always going to be thinking forward, but this is a first iteration of other possibilities. We see what we can do with TuneIn. What may we be able to do with other services? And I know this has come up on list. We certainly have every intention of furthering our book and library offerings. We know there have been positive pieces with Audible and other services that, you know, great talks are going on, getting Audible Sync and some other things working. But we continue to explore how we can better offer content, audio content, to our users. And TuneIn was a really, really neat step in the right direction. Matthew, anything else you want to see here, or are we good to move forward?
No, I'm good. You're that was very, very thorough. Just like the tutorial from Kim from Mystic Access is also about an hour long. So if you want to see more, I'd strongly encourage you to get that. It's available on either our support page at support.humanware.com or on Mystic Access downloads. But no, you've covered pretty much everything we had to cover. If we were to drill down in every single menu, we'll still be here next week. So I think that was a fairly comprehensive, while not complete, but you couldn't do a complete one. It would take way too long. But no,
that'll be, yeah, for all the like audio files out there.
Yes.
You know, we could spend a lot of time going into these various menus, but I think people will enjoy just being able to wander,
absolutely.
and knowing that you certainly don't need an account even on the device to do so. You can wander around without any account linked.
Yep. And that was important to us. We we weren't sure when we started talking with TuneIn, are we going to be able to support anonymous? Are we even going to be able to support accounts? Perhaps it would have been only anonymous. And we wanted to have all three, just like any iPhone user would have, or anyone would have. So that was very important to us. And yeah, I'm pretty happy we're able to make it work. It's a first iteration. As Peter mentioned, some stuff, speed control on podcasts we know is very popular. Being able to resume podcasts is huge quality of life as well that we want to put in. It wasn't in this first iteration because we didn't have time to put it in, and it was some of the testing and documentation was lacking, but we're working with TuneIn and we're going to get that done. Time flies. We're an hour in. Do you want to do a quick diagnostic menu demo before we move on to the bug fixes?
That sounds like a great idea. So what I'll demo, and this is something that was added to Stream 3, and it was previously present on the Stream 2, which is the ability to format your SD card. Your SD card, we now have that support for larger SD cards, and one of the pieces is they need to be formatted exFAT for the best sort of quality of operation. And you weren't able to do that on your stream. Now I will show you how you can do it, and I'm not going to format my card because I do not want to lose everything on this SD card that I have. And actually, I don't need to, but I'll show you how to pull this up. The one thing I'll say is my mixer will get a little weird when I shut my device off. You'll hear like it's like going to be a buzzing noise because it's going to be looking for a feed when none will be present. So I am going to shut my unit off. I'm going to press and hold my power button and turn this down all the way, and shut this down all the way, that is. And again, you're going to get a little bit of feedback, and I'll try to monitor it. But my unit just shut down, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do this the right way. Let's make sure it doesn't get too trying to mess with my levels. But what will happen, I'm going to get into diagnostic mode to format your SD card. This option is in the diagnostics menu, and this is something that's always been on the stream. And we tend to, oftentimes not broadcast this type of info because we've had people format devices and things without meaning to, and certainly we don't want it to be easily accessible to get into the diagnostics menu. However, that is where this option is. If you have a large SD card and you want to format it for the first time, you're going to need to come into diagnostics. To do that, you're going to hold down 2, 6, and 8, the 2, the 6, and the 8 keys while you turn your unit on, and you will hear the turn on beep, or the kind of indicator that your device is booting. And you'll keep those 2, 6, and 8 keys held down while letting go of power. And what will happen is we'll let go of them, and your unit will turn on in diagnostic mode. So again, you can do some serious damage here if you're not sure what you're doing, and you'll be very, very frustrated if you wipe all of your content. So do this at your own risk.
Welcome to Victor Reader. Diagnostic menu, export logs.
And what you hear is you hear the welcome to Victor Reader message, and then it says diagnostic menu. And the first option here is to export logs, and logs can be very useful if you have, we may say, can you send us some logs? And this will export them to your SD card. This menu contains factory reset options and other sort of formatting and reset abilities. And I'll say it again, if you do something here, there's no way to undo it. If you wipe your device clean, that's it. You're not going to press a magical key and undo what you've done. So when you come into, and tech support is not going to magically be going to be able to help you undo what you've done. So you may not want to come in here unless you have a very specific purpose. But if you do come in here, you can wipe your device. If I move to the right, again, your 4 and 6 keys are relevant in this menu.
Import user content.
This would be importing various things. If you're using your Stream Companion software, which is possibly a webinar for a whole other day, you can import credentials and various pieces.
Export user content.
You can also save or export your content if you know you're going to factory reset your unit and other things.
Import configuration.
But I want
Export
to
Wi-Fi test.
come all the way to the
SD card,
right,
Clear configuration. Clear user data.
and you're going to see
Factory reset.
an option
Format SD
that
card.
says format SD card. Again, you saw a lot of things in there: factory reset, clearing user data. All of these things could potentially just destroy your device. So you do this at your own risk. But one of the options, if you use your 6 key, is going to be format SD card. If I press confirm here, I can, let's say, sure you want to do this, I can format my SD card, meaning wipe it clean and build it, reformat it as an exFAT card. And this is what you want to do if you have a card that is greater than 32 gigs and you want it to work in your Stream 3. That doesn't absolutely mean other cards won't work, but we will recommend, if you call into us and say, my card isn't working, things are going well, I have a 256 or a 512 gigabyte card or a 1 terabyte card not working, we will say, well, have you formatted it exFAT? And we will probably walk you through this process as a means to try to get it into exFAT. And previously you had to do this using a computer. We're now allowing you to do this on your device. But again, you have to go into the diagnostic menu by holding down 2, 6, and 8 when you boot. Now, if you get scared and you don't want to be in the diagnostic menu anymore, press your cancel key. So I'm going to press cancel or star.
Shutting down.
And it will say shutting down. And then you can just turn your unit back on and it'll be like nothing ever happened, like you never went in there. But again, you will want to be very cautious of when and how you use the diagnostics menu. We always struggle on all of our products. Do we put these things? Where do we put them, and how do we do it? What we've settled on is we allow you to access them, but it's not something that's readily there from the simple menu interface. Same on our Braille products, and it's not because we don't trust anyone. It's because we have a wide variety of users, and we certainly have individuals who would unknowingly or unintentionally clear out their devices regularly if we leave these options just kind of there. So, and we're not alone. I mean, you don't turn on a computer and have, reformat options on your desktop, for instance. You have to kind of know where you're going and know how to find that. I'm going to turn my unit back on. But it is something that we did offer. So it's nice to see it back. You can format the cards. The other thing I'll say is, and Matthew, you might want to comment a bit on the SD card issue, because we know there are a lot of folks out there with these large SD cards that we now support. And have we gotten all of them working all the time?
So that's a perfect segue into the bug fixes. But I'll just mention one thing real quick. In as far as booting up in diagnostic mode, make sure you're not connected to power. If you're connected to power, it is not going to work. That's a hardware limitation from the board we're using. So it has to be running on battery to get into, as opposed to, for example, the Victor Reader Trek. That's the opposite. You have to be plugged in to get into the diagnostic. But yeah. So let me share my screen back again, and we'll move on to the bug fixes. So first item on the list is what Peter just talked about. So large SD card support. So we've improved quite a bit the support for large SD cards in 2 ways. So one of them is the speed. So we know that if you have a card that has thousands and thousands of files, it can take a bit of a long time. We've improved it by quite a bit. There's still some work to be there, some optimization work that we will do to optimize that further and make it faster. And one of the items I'm going to talk about in the future slide is the suspend mode, which is going to help alleviate a lot of that. The other aspect that we've improved is there were some cards that when you put them in your stream, especially larger cards, 256 and larger, that when you put them in your stream, you were able to read books, but you weren't able to, for example, copy a book from the internal memory to the SD card. So on those issues, we fixed it on the software side. We have seen, however, I'll say this, we have seen a couple of units that that we're still experiencing the issue. So if that's your case, if that's still happening to you, please contact technical support. They'll be able to help you out with that issue. Some of the other things we fixed on the stream of version 1.2 is the 5 keywords in podcast now again. So that was one big improvement that we did is we brought back the 5 key support for podcasting and description on episodes and streams. We've improved HLS stream support, so that helps for internet radio as well as and it also helps in the podcast bookshelf. So some radio stations that didn't work before will now start working. Will now work on the uTunes bookshelf. Remembers the bookshelf after a reboot, so that was more of a minor annoyance, but you would shut down your device while you were in the barred bookshelf, and then you would reboot and it would be in a different bookshelf. So we've made it so that it remembers the bookshelf upon shutdown. Remember reading position in books after reboot. So on this, I've seen some comments on the lists that it's not perfect, so it's better. It's working a lot better than it used to, but bookmarks and the reading position are sometimes a little bit off. So we are investigating that. We think there might be something to do with variable bit rates in some audio files, but we're also seeing it in NLS books, which by nature are not variable bit rates. So we are investigating a few things there. More improvements to come, but it's already much better than it was. We fixed some navigation issues in text files. So there were issues where going back and forth in text files was not working properly. So that's been fixed. We've raised the file size limit in Bookshare. I believe it's up to 10 megs now. It used to be 5. Bookshare books are we don't support yet audiobooks. It's only text only books. Daisy books, it's I mean, if you're gonna read a Bookshare book above 10 meg, it's a fairly huge book. So we think that's good, but we will be doing some further improvements as well on the Bookshare bookshelf in the future. The go-to time in Daisy and NISO books was fixed. So on, again, larger books, we had some issues that you couldn't go too past. I think it was 66% or something like that. So that was resolved. Offline bookshelf refresh improvements. So that ties into the large SD card support that I mentioned before. So we've made some improvements there. And we've also fixed a few crashes. I'm going to move on to the next slide because I want to leave some time for people to ask questions. What are the features for the future? So I'm going to start by saying that these are not promises. This is more of a wish list. And the reason I say this is because we're in 2023 and I still hear about once a week about FM radios on the VR track. So I know better than to promise something that we cannot deliver. These are features that I'm confident enough that we will be able to deliver, but once again, not a promise. But if they're on this list, it's because I'm 90% plus confident that we'll be able to deliver. First on the list, Audible. As you know, we've had a bit of a, I'll say, tenuous relationship, to be polite, with Audible. It's been a struggle at times. That being said, over the last, I'm going to say 3 or 4 months, they've been fantastic. Credit where credit is due. They've actually proactively reached out to us if we didn't email them for a few days to ask us if everything's fine. If everything had been going as well as it's been going in the last 3 or 4 months, I'm going to say since August, we would have had Audible on release day on 1.0. We actually, sorry, we were actually able to play a book last week on the Stream 3 that we have in the lab. We're able to authorize to play a book. It's looking really good for version 1.3, unless, you know, and hopefully, knock on wood, I'm not jinxing ourselves, but if everything goes well, it will definitely be in 1.3, and it's really looking that way. This one, I would say I'm 98% sure. RNIB and EAL. So for those of you who don't know, RNIB is the equivalent of BARD in the UK, and EAL is in France, so it's a French library. Those two, we are working with them. They have their own custom APIs, so we have to work with them. We are about 80 to 90% done on both of these, so I'm hoping to get them in the next version as well, in 1.3. And when I say 1.3, that's coming in the first half of 2024. We don't know exactly when yet, but first half of 2024 is all I can say for now. But that being said, it's looking good. But there again, we have sometimes some communication issues. We send them emails. It takes a week or two to get a response, so it's sometimes a little bit difficult. We understand we're not their top priority, but we are, you know, actively working on it, and we're hoping to get that released. They almost made the 1.2 release, so hopefully they'll make the 1.3 release. Bluetooth improvements. So we want to make sure that Bluetooth works better. As it is, the Bluetooth works fine on the stream, but there are definitely some improvements. For example, if you plug in some AirPods, it'll say unknown Bluetooth device, but it'll still work. So at least the important things there. But we also want to add some Bluetooth profiles. So Bluetooth works with different profiles. You've got the hands-free profile, the handset, and all that. So we want to expand the number of profiles we support, and hopefully add some support for things like hearing aids, for example, which are very important, but also car stereos. For example, if you go into your car, like I have a Mazda car, and there's a Bluetooth connection that I can do. I would like to be able to connect my Stream 3 to my car stereo and listen to podcasts while I'm driving. So that's some of the things that we are working on. That would be more in the second half of 2024 for that feature. File ordering. So I'm not sure if anyone cares about that, but no, I'm kidding. I see that everywhere. We know file ordering is a really, really requested feature. We know it's very important to the user community. And, you know, when I talk to some people tell me, oh, it's not that important. How many books do you have? I have 8. Well, yeah, okay, it's not that important when you got 8 books. If you have 300 books, then it becomes a different matter. So we want to add it, but we want to do it right, and we want to give you, the user, some agency. So my dream goal, and I'm gonna state my dream goal here, but would be to have an option in the settings menu where you can choose to filter by date, to sort by date added, by book name, or by author. Hopefully we can get that done. Worst case, we'll pick one of the 3, probably the book name, the book title, and do an alphabetical sort. But there is something coming in 1.3 for that. I've told the team it's too important to skip. I would have liked to have it in 1.2, but it was a bit too much work to get it done, and we knew that there were some much wanted bug fixes that we had to get done. Suspend mode. So I've mentioned this in the previous slide. So suspend mode, what it is it'll be an optional option, and that's fun, that you'll be able to go into your settings menu. It'll be off by default, but if you turn it on, what that'll do is your stream won't turn off anymore. When you shut it down, it'll suspend. It'll go to sleep, sort of. What that means is about a 70 to 80% power consumption reduction. So you'll be able to leave your Stream 3, if it's full, about 6 days on suspend, but past 6 days, the battery will be out. Think of it as if you shut down your screen on your phone, but on steroids. Like it's much more, the power savings are much more. And then you'll be able to wake it up within a couple of seconds. I think it's 2 to 3 seconds to wake it up, and then you'll be able to use it again. We've heard, complaints from people saying that this new stream takes too long to boot and everything, and it is a different architecture. It's a different operating system. By its nature, it takes a bit longer to boot, just like my very first iPhone took a lot less time to boot than my new Google Pixel 7 phone. As time goes by, sometimes these things lengthen, but we want to offer a solution for customers to be able to shorten you'll be able to put it to sleep. And then if you want to shut it down, if you've got suspend mode off, there'll be an option in the settings menu to do a complete shutdown. Or you can go and disable the suspend option and use your power button again. Acapella update. So Acapella, for those of you who don't know, is the engine that we use for the text-to-speech, the TTS. So there have been a few releases since the version that we're using on the stream. We're a few versions behind. So we will be upgrading Acapella, and what that means is it will have a more diverse selection of voices. We'll be adding some new voices to the stream, as well as improvements. A little bit in English, but a lot in some foreign languages, Swedish, German, all of that. There are quite a few improvements in those languages with the new version of the Acapella software. So that'll be coming in sometime in 2024. For this one, I'm not entirely sure. And then last but certainly not least, bookmark alerts. So that's a feature that we had on the stream 2 that would tell you when a bookmark was upcoming in a book that you were reading. We know it's not a widely used feature, and that's why we didn't have time to do it for launch, and then it's sort of a bit low on the priority list, but it is something that we want to add back in, because we know that maybe only 10 to 15% of people use it, but those who use it like it. So we're going to add it back into the list, into the feature set eventually, probably again sometime in 2024. Speaking of 2024, we're currently planning on doing 2 releases in 2024, one in the first half, one in the second half of 2024. That we're really, the feedback that you send on the lists on when you call tech support and it's passed on to me in emails that I get is all taken into account. We really want to make sure that we make a product that you, the user, have as many features as you'd like. As Peter mentioned, we've added TuneIn. It's the first new bookshelf we're adding in about 10 years on the stream, but it's certainly not the last. We want to add. I would love to have SiriusXM on the stream. I would love to have Spotify. I would love to have, I'm gonna go crazy and say Netflix. I would love to have a lot of those services on there. I'm not gonna say too much here. All I'm gonna say is that we are in talks with some of those companies. Some of those companies we tried to reach out, haven't seen the response. But if there's a service that you'd like to have added to your stream, you can definitely reach out to them. Let's say you use I don't know, Disney Plus, and you really like Disney Plus and you'd like it. Well, reach out to Disney Plus and let them know. Make your voice heard. Tell them I'd like Disney Plus to be available on the stream, and if they need, tell them to call us, and we'll definitely pick up the phone and listen to them.
And I think that keep in mind, one of the core tenets of the Victor Reader line of products is books. And that doesn't mean we're not looking at libraries and local libraries and access to book content. But certainly we want to expand the audio offerings. But people will say, what about, and then, they'll mention, something that they may use at their local libraries. And a lot of times it does come down to, for the library side, what is there? Do they have an API? Are we in touch with them? How are they willing to work with that sort of, that data? And just because they have an app doesn't mean that they have all that. And so we would have those discussions and kind of work through. And sometimes it's just hard to, you got to find the right person at the right time with some of these organizations. And certainly your help as the community is extremely important for a lot of that, because we can't do it alone. We have a great story to tell, and we certainly TuneIn's been awesome, and it's really neat now to see what we can do with a mainstream company like TuneIn. But we need to continue forward, and this can be a great example that we can now use to demonstrate what's possible. But a lot of your guidance can assist as well.
All right, I think we're at the Q&A portion of the show now.
Rock and roll. So
we have a few hands raised.
I'm going to preface it by saying, if you, and just for everyone's benefit, please If you have an issue that is personal, meaning it's related to your Victor Reader stream, please think about when you have the question, is it something that will benefit the webinar or group at large? We may tell you to contact technical support. We certainly, want this to be beneficial. So if you can, please ask one question, keep it to one question, and try to keep it relevant to today's webinar and the features we discussed. We would tremendously appreciate that. If you can do that. You can put questions in the chat if you'd like, or you can raise your hand if you would like, and we can move through a few questions. Do you want to, we can stop the recording, Matthew?
Yeah.
And then we'll open up the Q&A, and we'll let this all